Hello, everybody, and welcome to Leviathan News. It's the whole crew is here.
Damn, live and in person.
And we snagged a secret spot in the media area where nobody was filming, and they told us that we couldn't get a podcast space, so we just kind of barged in and made our own space. But here we are, and we got myself, Sam, we got Rex, as always, Big G. It was tweeting us.
So, Sam, before we continue, I have to ask, do you know any safe places to get leverage on Ethereum?
Yeah, I do, actually. I was going to say about that, like the thread guy tweet that came out today. He's like, moved from meme coins to leverage. And if they're going to do that, they should use Protocol FX, which is our sponsors. And they have some great tools that allow you to get, well, with V1, it's non-liquidatable. V2 has some potential liquidations that can happen, but very rarely. But you can get up to 10x leverage. It's really nice to use. You just throw it and put it in your portfolio and forget about it. And the funding rates are almost non-existent.
Yeah, and we're still vamping here while Garrett finishes up the social media. But no, I mean, like, obviously Protocol FX like had a tough go, but like I do think it's worth pointing out that it was the biggest liquidation in crypto history and like a true like 2 Sigma event. And like, sure, Protocol FX, like, we realize the limits of their marketing, but like they survived. Like they did what they were supposed to do. The protocol works. It's still kicking. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't blow up.
Yeah.
It didn't blow up. Like the FX USD kept its peg. And I think that's the most important at any time, right? You know, if you're going to have a stable coin, your job at the end of the day is to make sure that it's stable. Yeah. So
cool. All right, Garrett, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Here, no, you take this one.
All right. This is
not the boat, but all right, wait. Here, you take this.
My name is Garrett. I'm a co-host of Leviathan News. I work with Curve Finance on an educational basis, so I'm hot off Stable Summit, which we've all would agree is like the highest signal to noise event in the periphery of ETH Denver, right?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, well, I think the highest signal event is going to be our squid drop today. Actually, I want to talk about Forbidden. I'll give it to you, Garrett. So it's been about 2 years since we started Leviathan News, which is crazy, right? To think it's been so long. And during that time period, we've been giving out squid. We started about 6 months later after we started. We made the token. It's on Fractal, of all places, which is great. And we distributed it to people that came and did like a Telegram channel posts for us, right? But now, today, Garrett, do you want to talk about the squid drop that we're doing?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to go into a bit more detail about that point there, which was like how we've been distributing the squid for the past 2 years. So when we launched, we said like we're going to do what we can to democratize like this world of Web3. And we've had basically 2 wings of our show. We've had our news bot, and we've had our show side. So we said, all right, well, we're contributing pretty equally to each. So for the past 2 years, we've been giving squid to the curators of all the amazing headlines. So we've managed to build a fairly decentralized Web3 news aggregator. No one person is capable of actually following all the crazy news that happens in crypto, especially when you get like deep down in the L2s and governance forums and everything. But this like combined army of squids trying to like figure out what's going on and share the good stuff has delivered amazing signal to noise ratio. So there's like a hardcore dedicated group of people who've been rewarding with the squid token for the past couple of years. On a monthly basis, we've been dropping tokens. And it's been a very good experience for everyone. And now we're excited because at the same time, we've had hundreds of guests on the show. Like Sam knows because Sam has had the pleasure of spamming them. And then I've had the pleasure of seeing Telegram account like messages all day long saying, has Sam's account been hacked? He's saying there's a like squid airdrop coming and I need to enter my seed phrase. And like, no, you don't need to enter your seed phrase.
I'm now realizing I should have been more suspicious.
You know, the thing about it is like, you know, we're giving out like, I think our largest drop, I think the price of squid is about 1/3 of a cent right now.
And falling.
So if you showed up on the show once, you're getting about 8,000 squid, which I think is a couple dollars at this price. So I've been in these DMs of all these like 9-figure crypto founders, you know, like Stani and Kane and Corey from Dolomite, Michael as well too. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm sorry to like take you away from your billion dollar DeFi protocols, but we're giving you $5 a squid, and they just need to go and like sign up at this Telegram bot.
And when they don't sign up, since their addresses are public, we sign them up.
Yeah. But we wouldn't have been able to do this without Garrett. I mean, Garrett's put all the work into the Telegram bot. We have not had a token or anything Leviathan without Garrett. It's all been him. Like I just get up here and yap and make unqualified opinions about everything, while Garrett actually does all the work in the background and makes Leviathan run. So thanks for making it happen.
Well, I just want to plug that if you continue to stay tuned on the news side, because the question of how to like best kind of order the news headlines that come in, especially as like maybe we 10x, 100x the amount of news headlines coming in, it sort of is like MEV, right? Like, how do you decide at the kind of tip of this like incoming flood of requests? How do you decide what's important? How do you decide what's in there? We're working with a lot of people, like I'm not going to dox anyone, but like who are really smart at solving these problems. And we're going to be able to use the Squid token towards this problem of like, how do you like order the headlines coming in? So taking a lot of inspiration from some of the like amazing protocols we've interviewed over the past few years. So very exciting stuff coming out for Squid. That said, not financial advice, but if you happen to be getting the Squid drop, I recommend you dump. Just like go take that token, drop it off. It's pretty much worthless token, right?
Garrett, we might need to have a conversation about marketing. Cool. Well, I have an idea. Why don't you guys start to give a little recap of what's going on with ETH Denver, and let me go see if I can find a couple people to make them Squid rich and bring them in onto the stream.
They'll actually earn Squid for being on this stream because they'll be in before the cutoff. So the rich get richer.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, how's ETH Denver?
Yeah.
I don't even know how ETH Denver is. Like, I literally, like, whenever I have to give a talk, I don't know if you're the same way. Like, you saw me, like, in the advance of my talk at Stable Summit, the topic of the rise of yield-bearing stablecoins. I essentially was sitting in a corner, pacing and talking to myself to the point where people were saying, is that guy all right? Is that guy crazy?
I think that it's interesting this year compared to last year because trying to remember what last year was like Eigenlayer mania.
Yes, it was all Eigenlayer all the time.
Yeah.
What people have been saying this year, the chains that they like is Sonic.
But we're in a weird state. Like we're in a weird state for narrative right now, right? Like if ETH Denver had been 6 months before, and maybe even last year, everything was like AI, like virtual agents. There were so many side events for all these like AI things.
And there still are.
And there still are, right?
If we'd gone to the AI side events instead of Stable Summit, it'd probably have different takeaway.
But the AI narrative is kind of dead. I will say that the Stablecoin Summit was like, oh, hey, here we go.
What's up? How are we, guys?
What's going on?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this.
You definitely didn't pay for an advertisement here. This is all organic. So
if you see me taking a T-shirt from your booth, I'm going to wear it. Like, just give it to me. Don't make me sign up.
Yeah, exactly. For any like projects out there, like if you send us free merch, we'll probably wear it on the show.
All right, so what I just realized right here is that last time I sat with this group of people was ETH Denver last year on the roof of your hotel.
Right. We had everything last year.
This time we have microphones, so yeah. So a year later, we got to ask you, Thomas, tell us about DTF, all this stuff that's going on. Like the most like happy people I've seen at this conference of depressed Ethereans has been the reserve people. So man, like what's been going on?
Yeah. It's been really exciting. We launched a new protocol on Tuesday that lets anyone launch a DTF. And a DTF's like an ETF, but in crypto. Where's the camera, by the way? Up here. A DTF is like an ETF, but in crypto. And so it's one-to-one backed, fully redeemable 24/7. And we launched on Tuesday with 12 launch partners, ranging from Bloomberg, CoinDesk, Market Vector, to Clanker, Virtuals, all these different ecosystems and the broad crypto thing. And so I'm really excited about it because everyone's interested in crypto. ETH people are down bad right now, but like the rest of the world is really interested in crypto right now. And, we're seeing like Robinhood's revenue was up 700% last quarter, right? Just in crypto, 700% increase in revenue from crypto on Robinhood.
From $1 to $7.
It's actually powered by Robinhood. the Uniswap announcement this morning that you can basically buy like right into tokens with dollars.
Wow.
It's powered by Robinhood in the back end. So
That's
they're only
amazing.
getting deeper and deeper into crypto.
They're only getting deeper and deeper. And like, by the way, the institutions are actually coming, right? They're here in full force. Franklin Templeton was there. Anchorage, they've always been there. But Standard & Poor's International was there as well, right?
Get a little bit closer with Mike.
Get a little bit
There you
closer. And Citadel just announced that they're getting into crypto. They're the largest market maker in the world, right? They actually do all the Robinhood market making. That's where all the order flow gets sold to.
Yeah.
Right? So like everyone wants to get into crypto. Now you can easily do it with an index. So there's the full DTF pitch.
That's super cool. That's super cool. What's been your takeaways like from the actual event? Because you've been here setting up like at the ETH Denver event versus Stable Summit.
Yeah. I always love coming to Denver because it's so fun to meet up with
Thank
all
you.
my.
Thank you. I love Denver as well too. I don't know where does the Denver hate come from? Can we talk about that for a second? Why is there so much bitching about like on CT about ETH Denver? It's a great place to come.
It's a great place to
the
come.
ETH price.
It is a little bit chilly. I get that.
It's like 70 degrees out today.
It's pretty nice. I brought a parka. I haven't worn it yet. But yeah, it's always fun to see all the DeFi friends.
No, but like, can we focus on like why do people not like it? It's cheap comparatively to
Other
LA or
US cities.
DC or Miami or somewhere. The transportation is easy to get around everywhere. The food is Mexican and good and spicy and great. Like great food here. I don't like. Okay, people may not like the event. There's that Purina dog food factory when you're like walking up to the event that gives you a weird smell. But like, otherwise, it's a great event. I think that ETH Denver is always one of my favorite events.
I love
throughout
it.
the year.
It's a 2-hour flight away. It's very easy to get
Oh yeah,
to.
and the flights like DIA has like the best airport in the United States.
With all the weird lore.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 What do you think is what's your strangest story about the
Denver airport?
aliens in the basement? Or?
Yeah, like it's like the largest airport by square mileage in the country, and everyone's like, "Why?" Yeah.
You know the horse. As you're driving in with the eyes,
Yeah.
it actually killed the sculptor. It fell on him after he had like sculpted it before it was going to be cast. It fell on him and killed him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and then they still casted it and put it up there, and it has these flaming diabolical eyes that like stare at you as you're going in and out of the airport.
Oh my goodness. ETH Denver though. I always love seeing everyone. I like running into you guys. Like I talk to so many people on Telegram all the time with avatars. It's great to actually see people in person. I do see most of the DeFi people outside of ETH Denver at the DeFi side events.
Side events, yeah.
Because DeFi is kind of a second-class citizen at ETH Denver. And
Yeah,
so,
I think there's like 2 booths I walked past on the way here that were DeFi, and everything else was like L2. But that being said, like this gives you a chance to talk to people who are just like they know about Ethereum, maybe don't know about DeFi. Like you get to talk to them. What are they saying? Are they saying like, how do I enter this? Like, how do I like launch a DTF or like?
Yeah, I think in general, people have been really excited about we have our DApp up on the booth, which is the first time we've ever done this, and people can like scroll through it and check it out. And we just find that showing people the product is the easiest way to explain it. Yeah. And so we've been doing a lot of that, and it's been really fun. And you kind of see the eyes light up moment when they understand it. So that's been the most fun. But yeah,
DeFi Summer 2.0, right?
hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So let's talk. Like everybody's been talking about the bad vibes, but it doesn't seem. I feel the vibes have never been better. Like with all the cases against all the DeFi projects, they're gone.
It's been an amazing week.
Uniswap, SEC lawsuit gone, MetaMask lawsuit gone. What else am I missing? They're probably looking at Lido that we don't know about. That's probably gone as well too. Like,
So they dropped all the exchange cases.
they dropped all the exchange
Kraken,
cases.
If we keep getting this much good news, ETH is going to go to 0.
Coinbase, Kraken, and Robinhood all got dropped.
I do. Okay, so vibes, like every person I've talked to, like it's been fun. Like people are happy. what I will say about Vibes is like the talks are empty. And I think that is more, obviously there's some like price in that. No one wants to take this seriously when it just feels bad, right? But I think the other thing too is that, like, what is the question for all podcasts ask when you're recording at ETH Denver? What's the narrative right now, right? So let me ask you that. What is the narrative right now for ETH or for crypto, for anything?
Well, I'll direct you to my talk at Stable Summit entitled The Rise of Yield-Bearing Stablecoins, in which I cogently argue that yield-bearing stablecoins is the new narrative.
It was very well argued, I will say. I really enjoyed it. And I agree. And you know what would it be even better? Is if we took all of those yield-bearing stablecoins and bundled them together into a DTF. Yes, the technology exists. Anyone can do it right now.
I think we're in this like lull, and I don't think that we've been in a narrative-less environment for a while, right? I'm trying to think. Maybe like 18 or 19 was the last time that we didn't. It was like post ICO, all the shine had come off. Everybody had a lot of ideas what to build. Stable coins weren't a thing yet. People. I mean, there was a lot of like dreaming, but maybe we didn't exactly know where to focus. Right before DeFi had come along, people just had a lot of ideas, and I think we're kind of in the same point where like because of the pump fund meme coin max extraction, like billions of dollars have been sucked out of the ecosystem. Like retail is just throwing in the towel, right? They're done. And it's really hard to like tell a compelling retail normie story about like B2B stablecoin infrastructure, right? It's not sexy. Like intersubjective whatever. Like I don't even get me started on that. How am I supposed to explain that to my parents?
Guys, the narrative on crypto Twitter is negative. Everywhere else you talk to, it's positive, right? Yeah. Like regulatory-wise, institution-wise, everyone is fired up about crypto right now.
But I Rex, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, okay, when I got into crypto, which I am very young crypto-wise compared to all of you.
You've never seen a bull market.
Yeah, no, I have never seen a bull market. That's true. But when I joined, like I very vividly remember one episode of Bankless where they were like trying to talk through the roll-up centric roadmaps and the merge and like what all of this meant for like non-technical people. And like that was a vision that we were all like aligned with and rowing in the same direction. And like, yes, the stablecoin guys saw their piece in that. And yes, like the NFT people saw their piece in that. But at the end of the day, like everyone felt that there is this vision that is Ethereum and we're here. And these are the things that are going to happen to get us there. And like, if you're deep in the Ethereum research community, like that very much like based rollups and what's the other one? Native rollups. Like once you wrap your head around that and you listen to Justin Drake like 60 times, like you cannot help but be super bullish on like ETH, the asset, Ethereum, the network, and like where we're going. But like, I mean, you guys tell me, does anyone seem like we're like in the same boat right now?
I think that like we're going to see a restructuring. Like we've talked about like complex. Has that been plugged in for? Hopefully. Here, let me fix this for you. All right, okay. Garrett's got it. Hopefully, I think that the next wave, if we're talking about like what retail narratives are, it has to be like consumer apps, right? And we've seen the first kind of consumer apps come to Solana last year with like Moonshot and a few others that have just really done really well. I mean, I like Moonshot has been the shining example of what should be built in crypto. Like we just don't have apps, Web2 apps like they have in like anything in the top 100 of the like app store, right? We just don't build good apps, and that's partially like a UX issue, which has now been solved by like account abstraction and some other stuff. The gas issues, we've abstracted all the way. You don't even need to think about that anymore.
I'm on the apps front. I'm really excited about the new wave of curated DeFi experiences. I went on, and this is like a lot of the DeFi wallet apps today are generalist DeFi Pro user experiences, right? And that doesn't work for onboarding new people. I was actually trying to onboard a friend the other day, very smart person, pretty technical, not like an engineer, but pretty technical, and was explaining like how you can easily get a stable coin and get some ETH and put it into DeFi. And I was like, yeah, you just download the Coinbase Wallet app. And I opened up the Coinbase Wallet app and you go to Earn, and there's Moonwell, Seamless, Aave. For someone that doesn't know what those are, like, why the heck would you click on them? Let alone click on it and open it up in a browser window and then connect your wallet and then go to the Earn page. Right? It's like crazy.
We were just early. If you don't remember, back in the Luna days, UST times, there was probably 20 different neobanks which were being launched through YC, which were going to build on top of Anchor. Obviously a bad idea at the time. I think it's still a good idea for neobanks, but like you don't have to make it too hard. Just like allow people to put money in like SDI or SUSDE or something where they can get more than whatever the treasury rate is, have it be fully liquid, and then offer some really basic like DeFi lending stuff.
I totally agree. And I'm a little bit biased. We have a sister company with an app called Ugly Cash that is a stablecoin neobank and lets you get DeFi yield in your wallet just by signing up on the app.
Tell me more about that. I want to know more about that.
So it's all throughout Latin America and in the US. Anyone can sign up and get a debit card to spend down a stablecoin balance, or they can use there's a savings feature with Earn that's all powered by DeFi yield. And so
do you guys seriously not know about this? Let me shill for you. Because like this is the coolest part about Reserve. While we're all just like doing this like hypothetical stuff and speculative stuff for the next generation of speculative stuff, so eventually we can get consumer apps. Like the story of Reserve is that there are hundreds of thousands of people in South America that use Reserve as their bank. And like that's how they send each other money.
I remember that. That's why you guys started, but I didn't know if you guys were still doing the Latin American push for stablecoins and stuff. But so how does the ETF like fit into that?
Yeah, good question. So our mission is to fight inflation, right? And at the end of the day, how do people fight inflation? They do it with savings accounts, treasuries, etc. They also do it by holding the SP 500 and other ETFs, right? Over a long time period, you hold diverse volatile assets. And so our future idea is that you can have a some kind of asset-backed currency, as we call it, that has all of the world's assets in it, like stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, crypto, like all the different things. And so we're trying to build the toolkit to enable experimentation for that path to, come to fruition, right? We don't know what that basket should look like. And so we're just building a platform that lets people do it and trying to accelerate experimentation on it.
But if you do launch the basket of yield-bearing stablecoins, then you'll have a inflation-resistant basket. Or
Exactly.
Not necessarily resistant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the only way to beat inflation is with growth.
Mm-hmm.
At a country level, it's like GDP has to beat the money printing rate.
Right.
And at the individual level, your rate of growth needs to beat the inflation rate.
So we need everyone to go out and buy some yield-bearing stablecoins. So
exactly.
Yield-bearing stablecoins continue to grow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, no, the opposite. We need to dump the yield-bearing stablecoins so that the yield goes up.
Yeah, you gotta find. Someone explained it to me once. They're like, yeah, you got to find bag holders for the naked stablecoin.
Yeah, exactly.
And bag holders can be just people. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you actually had Rex launch a token through Reserve Protocol, which is itself natively has yield because it's receiving incentives, right?
Exactly. And there was actually I still think it was a cool idea. I understand why it didn't work. But the way that it worked was the underlying yield for a stablecoin that's backed by DeFi assets can be redirected to different things like incentivizing liquidity, etc. What we eventually found is that it wasn't enough yield.
Garrett knows how LP works, right? Like, so half the LP was in yield generating, the other half was in non-yield generating. So you're starting with like 4% APR, and then you only get half of that. So like, yeah. But again, that's why Reserve is cool, because it gives like the surface area to like try these things out, find out they don't work, and like that didn't kill anyone's company. It was an idea, an experiment, didn't work. Like, let's move on to the next one.
It still has a $2,500 market cap, that stablecoin. We don't know who's out there.
That might be me.
But if that's your money, you can redeem it.
So what should everybody at home like take away from like not being here at ETH, like ETH Denver? Like, what are some highlights that you've seen so far?
There's a lot of people building really cool stuff. There's a lot of really interesting regulatory progress that I think is extraordinarily positive for DeFi. And I'm excited for the next wave of builders and the next wave of innovation and features that all these companies have had bottled up and all these protocols have had bottled up to hit the blockchain and to get usage, because I think it's going to be a lot of growth.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it's weird that ETH Denver, the event, kind of sidelines DeFi when stablecoins, of course, are the killer app of DeFi, killer app of Ethereum, and when you like the vibe from Stablecoin Summit yesterday, even though like there maybe wasn't as many people at the talks and things like that, incredibly bullish announcements coming out, and stablecoin is like actually like fulfilling its use case. We're seeing stablecoins being used for settlement on like a massive basis for the first time. 1% of the M1 monetary fund, I think, is now in stablecoins, which is like a wild stat if you think about it.
That is an absolutely wild stat.
Exactly. So like the stablecoin like narrative is exploding. It's back above the volume, the market cap when Do Kwon like sent us into like the 3-year recession. So it's like pretty wild, like how exciting things actually are if you log out of crypto Twitter, log out of crypto X, whatever you call it, and like talk to like some of the institutional players. But you're not here, so you don't know it.
Actually, I had a question about the DTF stuff. Is it the people that run these things, like Bloomberg and other thing, like, do they make any fees from it?
So Bloomberg Indices is a index creator, and them like the like Standard & Poor's of the SP 500 and other index creators are a special type of entity that just creates indexes. They partnered with RE7, who you guys might know from Morpho. They curate Morpho vaults. They also curate DTFs. And so RE7 and Bloomberg Indices have an agreement with. I don't think I can disclose their agreement, but
It's fine.
Bloomberg Indices makes money from this. Any other index provider, Market Vector, CoinDesk, etc. Everyone's excited about these because index companies license their index to different groups. And so in this case, they're licensing it to one of the governors of the DTF.
And this is like an open index. Anybody can make anything. I can go out and can I make one?
So we could do it right now. It takes 25 seconds. We did it at the Stable Summit.
But we have to put money into it, right?
Small amounts. You can start with like a couple bucks, and you choose which tokens you want in it. You set some governance params, and then we actually built this really cool Zap technology that will go out and find all the tokens of the underlying, buy them in a single transaction, and put it in.
Is it what networks are you guys on?
Base and mainnet right now.
Base and mainnet. You got to get on Base.
Yeah.
Just
no plans, but if there's demand for it, happy to
There's
deploy.
gonna be a lot of demand when the squid drop happens today. So
Is it on Fractal?
it's on Fraxtal.
Oh wow.
Are there any DTFs launching maybe tonight? Say
There are some DTFs.
no way.
For anyone that's in Denver, you should come to the DTF party. We got oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the venue, but 9:00 tonight. If you go to our Twitter, you'll see the event thing. We're going to do a community-driven DTF creation event. That's going to be a bit of a social experiment, and there's going to be it's going to be really fun. Everyone that attends is going to put some money in, depending on how much they get in. That's how much of the governance token that they're going to get. And we're handing out paper wallets, going old school, and everyone's going to get some governance token airdrop to them.
it's pretty dope. Yeah, I've always wanted indexes to work. There's been a few that have popped up. Index Scoop ran theirs. I think they still have it. Unfortunately, it was on ETH. It was super expensive at the time. There was another group that ran something called like something 20 C20. I think was something that came out in like 2017 or 2018. They went bust. I get emails from them because they went bankrupt, and
there's those. I think those are all really cool. There's
hey, what's up? Come on.
No, you sit here.
Rex can come over here.
likewise,
We'll sit all together.
Really inflating squid right now, huh? Aham, welcome.
Thank you. How are you doing, guys?
Awesome.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
So tell us, what do you think of the conference so far? How's it going? What's the vibe? What's the narrative?
Yeah, it's awesome. Actually, I got here on Saturday. I've been talking to developers, and we were sponsoring a bounty, and yeah, it's great. Lots of DeFi projects, which is great. It's always good to see. Yeah, great energy. Great
Yeah.
energy. Yeah. So
You guys,
super excited.
So you guys have been crushing it. I had not checked DeFi Llama in a minute, and lo and behold, we were checking out some stuff at the Corn event, just looking at the charts, and we popped open the Sonic DeFi Llama chart, and you guys were the top, and I was
Yeah. Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
200
Yeah.
million.
400.
400
Yeah.
million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah. It's
even better.
excited.
But why? Okay, so DeFi Llama says 200. You say 4.
Oh no, you need to toggle the borrows,
Ah.
so the amounts that get out of the contract
okay,
actually
they-
get counted.
Got it.
Otherwise, they don't. But they do that for default. Like yeah, I don't know why they do that, but yeah.
Like
So the more borrows you have, the lower TVL you get, which is like, come on, guys. It's just like, yeah.
Like what did you guys do for Sonic? Because I know you've got your curve stuff going. You're on ETH. You're on Arbitrum.
our V1 on
wait,
Arbitrum. Yeah.
Was there anything else?
Yeah, we're like our V1 is on Arbitrum, a little bit on mainnet as well. But right now, with V2, we launched on Sonic, and now next week, of course, we'll have more plans. But
So
yeah.
what's so special about Sonic then?
Honestly, we did not expect this. There's lots of energy, a ton of energy, lots of great projects just launched there fast. Collaboration is great. Sonic Labs, the team behind it, has been fantastic, supporting all the builders. It's super fast. Our UI broke because it was so fast. So the kids had to make some adjustments because just confirming transaction was just too fast. And honestly, just the team is phenomenal. They put like they throw their weight behind all projects, which is great. It's just kind of like it seems like a high growth environment. Like you're working like similar to a Silicon Valley startup. It never stops. It's every day you've got new things coming out, like new projects, like new ideas, and specifically this. I'm not saying this is really kind of like to have to kind of. I'm saying this objectively. They know exactly what they're doing, supporting all the projects, and they're connecting all these projects together. So it's helping a lot. It helped us a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because very much countering this kind of bad vibes narrative that a lot of people have been pushing out is it was actually happened at a panel at Stable Summit yesterday. Because I was sitting on a panel with Feig from Paladin and now Rings, which is also on Sonic. And people are asking about the basically like, is DeFi dead or whatever? And he's like, no, not at all. Just you have to look in the right places. And there actually is certain L2s or like chains that are the epicenter of a lot of activity. Sonic is one that keeps coming up a lot. Barachain, surprisingly.
I mean, Phantom was always great, right? Like I love Phantom, but,
Yeah.
but like Phantom died. Well, but it wasn't their fault. That's the problem.
The
It's
community,
like-
the community was fantastic. The tech was not there, and I think that I'm not sure what happened, but you know,
yeah, but the whole Phantom, the Phantom blew up, and it wasn't their fault, right? It was the
Yeah.
bridge, right?
Yeah, well, the tech, yeah, the talk.
No. Remember. Like Phantom relied singularly on what was the bridge at the time? Multicoin. Yeah, it was Multicoin.
The multi-coin. Yeah,
It was an
yeah,
L1. They
L1,
only
yeah.
relied on Multicoin.
Yeah.
Multicoin, like either the Chinese, I think I'm pretty sure it was Chinese. Chinese stole hundreds of millions of dollars from the bridge, and it sent every single asset on there to zero. And like we've had so many projects that like were affected by it. The KeyDAO guys have done an unbelievable job to recover from that as well too.
So Sonic is just completely new tech and new team.
Yeah.
A new team behind it, like
Yeah.
it's
But
total
still,
different
it's like
team.
Andre Chain.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, to my understanding, he was a consultant for Phantom, but now it's
Yeah.
probably yeah.
But
So the vibe, and again, it's like it's being run like really a Silicon Valley. I've worked in Silicon Valley, so it's like the same vibe. It's like nonstop, always shipping, and lots of integrations ideas. So it's great.
Yeah.
So do you have like, can you just talk us through what it feels like to leave ETH? And like, is that like something profound for you guys at Silo? Is that like kind of like you go to where the activity is and it doesn't matter that it's off the base chain? And then also I'd love to hear from Thomas, like
Yeah.
when you look at Sonic, does that seem like a viable growth opportunity or so?
I mean,
Bam first.
just what for honestly, I look at it as DeFi solves a problem, and it should solve it everywhere you go. So yeah, I love I'm a almost ETH maxi. I hold Ethereum. I've held them for years, but it solves a problem, and you have to be everywhere. That doesn't mean that Silo will not be on mainnet. Will definitely be, but again, it's when you launch a new product, you should launching in a high growth environment helps a lot.
Very similarly, we want to go where the users are and where the assets are. And so if the assets are in different places, you got to go there. We have a lot of TVL on mainnet. I think that will continue. But for the new DTF protocol in particular, you actually can't bundle together as many things in a single transaction on mainnet as you can on L2s. And so for the zaps, it's actually technically not possible to have as big of baskets on mainnet as it is on L2s. And so because of the blobs, I think it is. And so you can actually put more data into a single transaction. And so you can actually have different products on L2s that are not possible on L1s and actually make a better user experience, not just because it's faster and cheaper, but actually because you can bundle more into a single transaction and basically do more of the programmable money magic on an L2 that you can't do on the L1.
I do not mean this question as a joke, but for both of you, assuming Solana isn't like going to zero from here, right? Like, would you consider expanding to Solana?
Yeah, absolutely, I would certainly. I don't hold any ideologies as far as that. To be honest, I think it's Solana community. Actually, it's Solana community. If you look at the Electric Capital Developers program for the last year, they had more developers developing on Solana than Ethereum. Unfortunately, for the first time, and they ship a lot. So that is a vibrant community. Now, of course, DeFi hasn't picked up, and they have a lot of for things, but it's a respectable community for sure. Yeah, I would for sure. The only reason is just a lot of investment for us to invest in Rust. Means like you have to bring on new members, and you have to do audit again, and it has to justify the cost. Which is in millions.
We are launching on Solana. Which I'm super excited about. There's tons of users there. I got into DeFi because I love the credibly neutral transaction layer for DeFi on Ethereum, right? And I still think that Ethereum is the most decentralized, safest place to transact. I think it's got the best user experience from a more technical user's perspective. The block explorers are much better. A lot of the tooling's great. The DeFi ecosystem is very mature and built out and robust, and there's billions and billions, tens and hundreds of billions of dollars of assets, right? Which is not the case in any other DeFi ecosystem. But there's a lot of users on Solana, and there's some more interesting assets, and we're going to go give them access to bundle them up into DTFs.
And you have some meme coin DTFs, if I'm not mistaken. So in your talks with the institutions you're talking with, what are they most interested in? The meme coin DTF or like the more like buttoned up DTFs?
So the index creators have a variety of indexes. CoinDesk actually has a meme coin index. Bloomberg does not. Believe it or not. I mentioned it earlier, but we want to be a platform for anyone to launch whatever type of GTF index they want. And so if it's a meme coin index, if it's a real world asset index, if it's a stablecoin yield bearing index, if it's a DeFi sector index or total broad market crypto index, we want to be the platform where it's as easy as possible for anyone to do that. If you guys have anything that you want to bundle together into interesting assets, let's talk.
Yeah, so absolutely. And so we built Silo V2 and we introduced the concept of hooks, similar to Uniswap before hooks. So now you actually can deploy markets with some features. So for example, like one simple feature or a hook could be if there's an idle liquidity, you can actually deploy it to Maker a DSR, for example. And that can be expensive on mainnet even, because you have to call it back whenever there's a borrower. But then, of course, on someone like somewhere like Sonic or an L2, whatever, it just could bundle all these kind of together and makes a really a killer user experience.
How's that different from Hyperliquid? Because I know they do some of that shared liquidity as well, right? Or no, sorry, not Hyperliquid, Hyperfluid. Fluid.
Hyperliquid.
Fluid mainnet. Yeah, no, we're still a risk isolated lending protocol. Fluid is not. Yeah, and yeah, there's shared, and you can actually really we can actually build Fluid on using silo hooks, very similar, and it's exactly why we launched hooks. What was the idea of how do you add features, how do you add capabilities to your protocol without an immutable protocol? So it was very difficult because you don't want to redeploy the entire protocol, re-audit everything. So you kind of create those kind of like this toolbox for developers to ship innovation without having to redeploy the entire protocol. So that was the idea. Yeah. Yes.
And I just wanted to take a second to shout out. It looks like we got about 700 people watching us live
wow,
on
that's
X.
awesome.
So thank you, everybody. Although those are
Thank
still
you.
rookie numbers because this is obviously the best live stream going on from ETH Denver. So let's retweet this hard. And I've heard a rumor that if we get above 1 million viewers, Vitalik wants to show up. So hit that refresh button as much as you can.
I heard that too from Garrett right now.
All right. So in cross-chain protocol world, do you guys ever see yourself evolving into like app chain? Like I say that because in order to get here, we walk by Unichain, and like I just wonder, do you guys see that as an example of like what it means to build in this new world, or is that like kind of chasing ideas that are not relevant to you, or how are you thinking about that?
Is Unichain an app chain? Isn't it just an L2?
Well, I mean, I guess like my definition of an app chain is less technical and more theoretical. It's a dedicated block space for a specific app, and
but like, Unichain has a potentially competitive amount of users compared to Coinbase, and so I think Unichain sees themselves as competing with Base, not competing with Hyperliquid.
Spicy,
right?
I like it.
Like Unichain, the vast majority of their revenue, actually all of their revenue, because they never turn the fee switch, comes from their apps.
No, Uniswap Labs, like
sure.
The Unichain, the DAO had no
say
in Unichain.
Yeah.
Right. It was fully launched by Uniswap Labs.
Yep.
I think they're paying for it though, which is a strange thing, right? No, just in general. Like there's a OX Peepo. Who's no. Okay, so no. Okay, so OX People is a Uniswap delegate who is one of the few out there who is independent and just like, what do we do? What is Uniswap doing? The fee switch is never going to be turned on. Uniswap Labs has completely abandoned the DAO and just now runs everything. Sorry, they completely abandoned the DAO. And they essentially have their front end, which is how they're making money now. And now they have Unichain, which has no connection to the DAO. Is there no connection to the DAO? They're not going to send any sequencer fees to the DAO. Zero governance. Unichain was launched by Uniswap Labs. I don't know anyone either. Yeah, the booth is right. A lot of people. I actually do know someone on the Uniswap team.
You want to answer to this?
I don't know if they're going to step into this.
I think that I'm not gonna.
If you're listening, Unichain.
Yeah, if you're listening,
come to the press lounge.
The SEC stuff probably scared off Uniswap from like including the DAO and anything over the last.
But I wonder if that changes, right? Like
I don't think so.
Like,
not at this point.
You don't think it's going to change?
No, because like you have token holders and you have shareholders, and they're two different things. And like as soon as you separate the two into two different things, and you have like two different masters, shareholders always take bigger responsibility or greater responsibility, right?
Legally, in today's world.
In general, like
you get sued by shareholders. You can't really get sued by token holders.
Yeah. Yes. So like Uniswap Labs now is beholden to their shareholders. For good or for worse, right? They get to build, they get to function, they get salaries paid, they can raise money through there. But now the DAO, like
does Uniswap Labs own a bunch of Uni?
Yes, I believe so.
So they do care about token holders.
No, they don't, because they have the front end now that generates an insane amount of money.
It is an insane amount of
An
money.
insane amount of money on the front end. And they've provided, like, Uniswap Labs has provided every single DeFi project now a way out of DAO governance, which is like, we can just launch a front end on top of existing DAO structure, right? Use the open source software, slap a fee on it, and then call it ours. And we don't have to pay back to the DAO.
Take notes.
Take notes, yeah. But like, I think we might see this as like, because consumer apps are going to be like the meta for this. It is it's the meta that everyone wants, and we all talk about it, but we don't have a ton of good examples. Moonshot is great because it's been one of the best ones, but like Uniswap app making a ton of money, Hyperliquid, or I don't know, Hyperliquid is an app, but like there's more that's coming, right? That are going to integrate and be these like standalone apps that make fees on their own, and they're not going to pass it back to the DAO at all. Like Uniswap just got rugged in general. Like it's unfortunate that it's just a meme coin at this point. It has very little governance power to affect anything within its ecosystem.
Sam, how much uni do you hold?
I received 0. No, but look, I'm just going off what I've seen, right? Like I sold my Uniswap.
With that, like, you kind of have to ask who's the victim here, right? Like Uniswap generated billions of dollars of wealth out of nothing and gave it to people. And like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying is like definitely like kind of sinister based on the expectations that we've given token holders. But like, what's wrong with this model? Like, really though, right?
Billions of dollars, yes, billions of dollars created out of nothing.
And they just gave it to people.
Yes.
For free.
Free.
It's pretty nice.
And so like, if I were Hayden Adams, and obviously my lawyers would not let me say this, but I mean, I would be like, DAO, what the fuck is your problem? I just literally gave you money. Like, what do you want from me?
But I mean, but look, I mean, we've seen. It's just hard when you have like, okay. Okay, I don't want to get too much deeper into this. This is just like, let's shit talk on DAOs. Do they actually mean anything? Sometimes they do, right? If everybody believes it, like in Curve, like everybody believes the DAO is a thing.
Aave runs
Aave,
really well.
right?
Makers, it's messy, but tell you what, it's a big DAO that runs a very complicated on-chain and off-chain business.
Right, but we also have like Hyperliquid DAO, which I'm sure they do stuff, but
I'm just not familiar with it.
Arbitrum DAO,
Arbitrum DAO.
No, Grants DAO.
There's plenty of good examples and bad examples of DAOs. There's plenty of good examples and bad examples of businesses. Have you guys heard of WeWork? I heard they didn't do a great job of managing their finances either.
But coming back, the thing that I wanted to talk about the Unichain thing is like there's a lot of similarities between what Unichain has done and how they're set up, and Coinbase as well too. The only thing that Uniswap Labs is lacking at the moment is a functioning on-ramp that they control, right?
They have an awesome mobile app.
Exactly. They have a great mobile app. They have an on-chain DEX, which mints them money. And they have pretty much everything that Coinbase does has an L2 now. I think that like if Uniswap Labs wanted to buy out an exchange and turn it into their own, like it's a Coinbase competitor at that point. Why
do they need to buy out an exchange?
Licenses and like,
but for what?
For their own stablecoin. Because like again, like the Circle tethered duopoly.
I would hope that Uniswap Labs, with their DeFi roots, would build a DeFi-backed stablecoin and get the DeFi yield, right?
Yeah, but like, why pay 5% to Circle when you could just?
They don't have to.
Which is owned by Coinbase, when you could just launch your own, right?
Throw Silo on the chain. Let anyone borrow against anything. Uniswap Labs gets the yield.
Yeah, but we could see like Uniswap. Okay.
I don't know why I'm pitching Uniswap right now.
Here's a question. Here's a nice.
Trying to buy the Uni token, right?
I honestly, like, this is making me bullish Uni.
Yeah, but here's like going back to the token. No, but honestly, like if any of us really believe in this thesis, which like I'm getting pretty bullish on, like you should buy the Uni token and you will make money if you're correct. Even though fees are not passing through, like we live in the attention economy, like that you just will.
Can I ask a question for the group? What comes first? Like DAO governance, Uniswap, the fee switch and actual control over like on-chain stuff, Unity chain, whatever, or Uniswap Labs going to IPO and competing with Base, right? Or not Base, but like
Why would Uniswap
Coinbase.
Labs IPO?
Because they turn into a multi-billion-dollar company. They make so much money. Why wouldn't they just keep it?
Why? Yeah. Again, why would they IPO?
No, like you like the greatest American thing that you can do is IPO, right?
Not necessarily.
It's the pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of like American finance is to like IPO.
Yeah, then you look at SpaceX, right?
Stripe.
Yeah.
I mean, companies IPO for two reasons: we need more capital, and for executives to
Cash out.
out. And
Yeah,
and
but,
they,
like,
yeah,
and
you
employees,
take
like-
like $5,000 check, after 5 years, but
I mean, you only have 7 years for the
I think
stock options to vest, or to
and the standard
Right,
agreement,
right.
but I think the probably Uniswap people probably have cashed out already, or they can. But so why IPO at all? It's a lot of headache to have to maintain like
well,
advanced records for 5 years and all that. It costs a lot, but yeah.
Here's a question for you guys. If it's not Uniswap Labs that's going to IPO or like go public in the future, what's the next crypto company, big one, that you're going to be able to buy shares of as a retail person?
Leviathan News LLC.
Coinbase. Brian Armstrong announced that one of his top 10 priorities was getting tokenized stocks on Base. That's coming.
Right.
Wrapped coin is probably going to happen.
But
Right?
which
And why wouldn't Uniswap go in the inverse? They have a token. Why wouldn't they why do an IPO? They have access to some of the greatest capital raising mechanisms of the world.
the token to securities pipeline, now
Yeah.
that they've dropped the securities
Do
thing,
the
like,
inverse tokenization, the securitization of a token.
we're going to have a one-way bridge where you can convert your DAO tokens into
The
stock.
Uni ETF.
Actually, that wouldn't be the bad idea. We talked to
Sounds like let's Uniswap. Let's go.
No, but we talked to Alex about this. We had a conversation with Alex because we were like, what if we just allowed Squid to convert into stock in the corporation? And he was like, yeah, it's great. You can do it as long as it's like a one-way bridge. You can have it, and you can have like a one-to-one conversion of like one uni.
Under what? Reg D?
Look, we can go get Alex, but like it's a conversion.
But how are you going to do it? I guess you have to accredit the investor beforehand.
I don't know. Maybe
In a private company, you can't accept investors.
I think the next IPO is Anchorage.
What about Circle?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've been talking about the Circle IPO for like 3 years now, right? No?
They were going to SPAC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely not with Shimon.
Yeah. But Circle was going to SPAC like 2-3 years ago. I think they had like a $10 billion valuation, and then FTX happened, and it all fell apart. I'd be surprised to see where it is now, especially with people like thinking interest rates might come down a bit. That affects their bottom line a lot. Yeah, exactly.
What about something like Chainalysis? I could see like a blockchain like analytics company IPOing.
Maybe, but it's not like they're making hand
I
over
think we
fist
might
in cash, right?
we might see some consolidations before. So like security companies like probably acquiring or being acquired by whatever, and then they'll IPO. But at this size, probably maybe it's much smaller to IPO, but cost
Because as a retail guy, like if I'm just using Robinhood to invest in stuff, like you really only have access to like the ETFs for BTC and ETH. You can buy coin, which has been great, and then the Bitcoin mining stocks, which are like, oh yeah, it's like a MicroStrategy. Right?
Robinhood also has a wallet, and I think it's Vlad, right? The CEO.
Yeah.
Vlad just announced yesterday that
Who could have seen Vlad turning into like a crypto Uber Bowl?
he's been
Stablecoin
doing doing it for 2 years now. He was pitching the DeFi mullet over a year ago, right? Like it's been coming, and the wallet is it's pretty good. They have a massive user base. They have the largest investor user base in the United States. Like it's Robinhood's coming to crypto. The wallet's going to be big. Anyone on Robinhood wallet can access GTFs.
Really?
I actually want to go verify that right now.
Okay.
But in theory they can, because it's a token and it's available on Base, and the Hood app is. A lot of people are saying that that's where they're going to get their indexed ETFs.
Because we're gonna see some wild stuff this cycle, like especially in the lending space. Like Aave would be, if you compared it to banks, I think they're the 60th largest bank in the whole world by the amount of deposits that they have.
60th?
In the entire
60th?
60th globally. No, Aave.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
That
where do we converge where it's like lending protocol, bank, payments app all into one place? Like why can't Aave get a banking license and just start doing banking things, right?
probably we're gonna see the other way around.
Other way around?
CFI accessing DeFi. Yeah.
And quite frankly, honestly, like we're not competent enough yet. Like like this is the bleeding edge, and that's fine. But like there is not enough managerial excellence in this industry to like turn Aave into a bank.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I wanted to talk with like Silos.
Aave is one of the best run DAOs in DeFi.
Yeah, exactly. And like, do you think that they're going to be capable? That today they'd be capable of like running like compliance that you would need to be a bank? I just you need to see
it's too
under the
complicated.
covers.
No, it's too complicated for governance to do it. You need like a small team to actually do that. More efficient and better. But the governance cannot do that for sure.
Is that the end state for these lending protocols, like with Silo and stuff? Like, what is the end state with all this lending? Is it just to exist as a lending protocol and grow bigger and bigger and bigger, or like, is it to connect to the real world at some point? And
yeah, growth will definitely have to. We have to connect to CFI. They have to connect. You have to let the average user, like using, let's say, Robinhood, to speculate a little bit on crypto. I want them to borrow actually from and lend directly. That is actually the way to grow. We have not seen that much, but definitely, yeah. And CFI will control that. CFI, whether it's a centralized exchange or like a consumer app, fintech app and things like that. Yeah, that's way. But for now, or we wait until crypto becomes mainstream, and then all of a sudden, like the ecosystem grows, which is probably at least the growth is not necessarily great in that space. So we see lots of funds coming in, but not from users. We see it from institutional, all bringing lots of funds, and
Very cool, very cool. And as we're closing on the hour mark, it looks like we're at nearly 1,000 viewers on X. So good job on the re-Xing and all that. But we just heard that Vitalik said it's not enough, so you got to retweet harder. He's not going to show up. So.
Can you put me in a group with Vitalik if you're talking to him?
Like Secret Alpha, like Program and Viper. Like Vitalik's like kind of active in some of the Viper chats.
all right, no rush. No rush.
You've got his phone number. Maybe we can text him. Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't have Vitalik's phone number. And no. The rumors
Someone who
are
committed-
just like things I made up in my head, like most things. So, not financial advice. Can you guys drop any alpha? Like for all the people at home who wish they could be here at ETH Denver and would like to get some alpha on either Silo or Reserve? Any alpha that you haven't dropped yet that you could spill?
Silo, we're launching 2 more protocols. Like one of them, the Silo Vaults on top of our markets. We're onboarding risk managers like top in the industry. So I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Honestly, no more alpha. We just deployed a new protocol 2 days ago. But we've had a lot of conversations with people that are really excited about indexes on chain this week, and I'm excited about the opportunities for great new ones to come on chain as well.
Awesome. Well, if you guys need to get back to your boost, please feel free to head out. But I think we'll keep chatting here until Sam has to go.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Because it's his hard work.
Everyone listening.
Good to see you. Good to see you. See you around.
Thanks for having us, man. I'll do it anytime. Come back. Like, you know where we are.
If there's anybody else around, you want to take a lap?
Yeah. Spread it out in the camera until then.
It feels good to do IRL stuff, man. Like I'm just like we don't do enough like face to face.
No, we don't. Squid price is a little bit too low. When
Isn't
I told
it-
people to dump, like, no, actually they should buy so we could like afford to go to all these events.
It's weird when you like have internet friends and you get to see them 3 times a year. Or I saw you last year at this time. Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's actually one of the best parts about the conferences is occasionally like you get to put a like face to the name. Like
Yeah.
so, like at Stable Summit, there was some llama holders, just like came out of the blue, like, hey, yo, what's up? I'm so and so on X or whatever. I'm like, oh wow, I've been talking with you for like so long.
I
And
have to
nothing
say
like
that-
I expected. I expected you to be like furry and like
Well, you are a minor celebrity here. Actually, maybe not even minor. Like people, if you don't know, for people watching at
I'm a
home, like
niche internet micro celebrity, sir.
more than a micro celebrity. Like people come up to Garrett constantly to take pictures. Like on the way here, I think 3 people stopped and wanted to take pictures with you. Like
No, that wasn't pictures. It's I've come around to the hack where when you like meet people in an event, they say, "Let me get your Telegram," and then you have to take a picture with them right there because otherwise you're going to get home, you're going to forget everything. So I'm actually asking to take pictures with them.
I know, but like there's some people that you knew that came up that knew you and wanted pictures with you. Still, like again, like everybody knows you, especially at the Stable Summit, like because you are Mr. Curve here in North America, right?
So it's one of the cool things about ETH Denver is like you can walk into one room and everyone will know you, and then you can walk in a completely different room and you'll be completely anonymous. And I actually prefer the anonymity because I like to like talk to people and just get the vibe. Like I will like if I have to take a Uber or a Lyft, I'll just ask the cab driver like, what are you hearing? Like, what's your experience with Ethereum people and this conference? And sometimes they have like amazing stories.
Yeah. Our information space is like completely different than what normal people know. Like
very much so. Like we haven't gone to any AI events. We haven't gone to DPIN Day. We haven't gone to like nearly anywhere you could imagine. So we're very focused on like our incredibly tiny corner, and I don't think it's gonna be a tiny corner forever. I think it's like going.
I think
to
it will be.
Yeah?
Like it's like weird finance stuff, and especially like all the like L2s, like the DGen protocols. Like
I think at some point the normies are gonna realize that like all the big institutions are like playing around on chain, and they're gonna get whiff of like DTFs from Reserve, and they're gonna get whiff of like, hey, I could actually like buy the like tokens that BlackRock is launching on, and they're going to like FOMO into some stuff just because like that's how humans are.
I don't know, man. How many years do you need? This is like this is 2025. So this is like year 8 of ETH Denver, and it's still a bunch of like either right curve, left curve, not so many normal people here.
I don't know. I give
like,
people a lot of credit. I think people are pretty smart, and I think that
they're pretty smart. Yeah.
and I think that in general, yeah, whatever. I didn't want to give everyone a shout out because appreciate the 1,000 of you are watching now, which is great news. Like Rex just talked to my earpiece and said Vitalik's coming around to come in on the show. Do retweet. Also, we're gonna be streaming again tomorrow for Llama Party, and we got a very special Llama Party plan because we have been launching a kind of soft launching the Leviathan News.xyz website. There's going to be a whole news feature on it, which we're going to be fleshing out in the upcoming months with a lot of cool features. But one of the things we wanted to rush to launch was this new auction system. One of the things that we learned from the Squid Pass last year was how much all of you enjoyed the llama auctions last year. It was just this really fun time where you could like 24/7 see an auction going on. You could hop into chat room and maybe you were bidding for an NFT against like C2TP or like mega whales in the space. And a lot of people even said like they got the chance to like meet and network their way into DeFi through the llama auction. So when we like looked at what we would build at Leviathan, we said, why don't we like build out this auction experience? Because we've got like inventory we can auction. There's going to be a few new auctions coming up now and then. And all the auctions we have going right now are going to resolve tomorrow at around the usual Llama Party time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I think that's like 2 p.m. UTC, usual Llama Party time. So we're going to live stream the results and have some fun. We're going to continue talking about the takeaways. We hope you can join us for that. If you are new to this and you just like happen to search like the hashtag ETH Denver and saw this, follow Leviathan News on X, follow us on Telegram, where we've got a decentralized bot powered by the community, delivering 24/7 headlines, and just message at us. We're really easy to get in touch with.
So the Bybit hack.
The Bybit hack, yes.
Bybit hack.
That was on topic on everyone's tongue.
Do you think the North Korean dude who like fired off that transaction think he gets a bonus?
It's
Like-
tough because I know that like we're trying to give a talk on the podcast when you say nice things about communism.
Yeah.
But the bad thing about communist regimes is like if you rise too high, you can become a celebrity for a bit, but they'll eventually cut you down. Like maybe like if he's getting too close to the sun, they might throw him in a gulag.
Do you think they like give him a Mercedes or something? Like,
So I probably he's doing very well right now, but if he's smart, probably I don't know. Like this is not like advice on how to live in an oppressive communist regime. I'd keep my head down and deflect the attention.
yeah, but you just made $1.5 billion for the supreme leader. You
I'm
think
saying,
you
yeah,
think you get a couple of vacation days?
he's probably, but I'd say like just like oh nope, very happy to do it, but like just trying to honor dear leader and gotta get back to work and hack some more protocols. One thing that was interesting, especially last night at the after party for the Stable Summit, was like some of the talk about like why don't people like do a more robust job if they're managing like their safe and like using
Yeah.
the tools that are available.
Yeah, man. Like
And
it's $1.5 billion, and it's your like job to do it.
mhm.
I
And it's like still like a topic of debate for people because like I'm gonna like be freely like I will gladly confess that like I'm a signer on the Leviathan multisig and I don't do any due diligence. Like I ask you, hey, is it like what's this transaction for? And you're like, oh, we have to pay our photographer or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
yeah.
I'll hit sign. I don't inspect it. I don't see if there's anything like going on with it. A perfect person to
What's
talk
up?
about it.
Here,
We're-
let me switch out with you, Rex. I'll take a lap and see.
I'm going to be really embarrassed if you have more friends than me.
Oh, I need it. Okay.
Don't look at this, ETH Denver. We're definitely not recycling press passes.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Or what are we talking about?
We were talking about the Bybit hack.
Oh.
And we were talking about the question of like safe security.
Yeah.
Because like, so last night it came up a lot at the Stable Summit after party, like people saying like, why don't they use a lot of the publicly available tools that you can use to like confirm the transaction ahead of time? And I have to confess, like I'm a signer on nothing important. Like Curve doesn't let me touch any of the Curve multi-sigs for a good reason. But I'm like a multi-signer on like the Leviathan multi-sig.
Yeah.
And I don't check. Like Sam sends me a transaction. I say, hey Sam, what is this? He says, oh, like we got to pay the photographer. I'm like, okay, boom, like sent. Am I a bad person? Am I going to ETH jail for that?
I think the reality of this hack is that this problem is going to be solved, right?
Mhm.
I think that we've already seen, I think directly from the safe team, where like Gnosis, whatever.
They
From-
used to be Gnosis,
yeah.
now they're safe.
from the safe team was a front end that you run locally,
Mhm.
and like therefore this like specific compromise of like their code repository on the front end getting compromised, and like that'll be solved, right? And I think
Mhm.
that is a lesson in how humans like figure security out, right? Which is something catastrophic happens. We realize like how we could have made it better, why things like security are important, why it's, even though it's a pain in the ass to like figure out a way to check the hash of the transaction that was generated by your wallet is if it matches what you would like if you compiled it on your own outside the wallet. Like
Mhm.
we're going to figure out ways to do that because it's important.
Here's a follow-up question. I know in the past you said you were not a big believer in DAOs. Are you coming around to DAOs?
Well, yes, but because what makes me nervous, I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
What makes me nervous about Ethereum
Mhm.
is that the value of Ethereum comes from decentralization and credible neutrality.
Right.
And like the Bybit hack, I wonder if we are not going to be able to properly understand the value of decentralization and censorship resistance and all the things that we care about
Mhm.
until something catastrophic happens. Like, for example, capital controls on a like European country, which
Mhm.
seems like incomprehensible, or something like a large portion of like a major country has to flee because there's like a crazy dictatorship and people are scared, right?
Mhm.
Like, and then they try to use the banks to go after political enemies, something like that, right?
Right.
And so I think the lesson from Bybit is like the tale as old as time. Like, there's almost nothing even that interesting in it.
Mhm.
But like, I do think like we as people in this community need to figure out a way to get people convinced that this stuff is important
Right.
before the catastrophic thing happens.
Right. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because I remember a few years ago when like the hostilities broke out between Russia and Ukraine, like there were some like very amazing people, developers in Russia that just wanted to code and they had to flee. Like overnight. They're like, I have to get out of this country now. And like the stories that I've heard from some people about like if they'd waited one more day, like they would have been like sent to the front lines and like ground up in a meat grinder or something. But crypto was actually a lifeline for them. Like that was very helpful for them to actually be able to go and like move to other like friendlier regimes or locales and like set up a new life.
Yeah, I won't dox her. I won't dox her because I don't know like how comfortable she is with this story.
Unless we get to 10,000 viewers.
Yeah. I'll dox her for Vitalik. But somebody told me a story about how when they were just like trying to figure out if crypto is real, they went to the border of Venezuela and Colombia, and they just kind of sat there and like talked to people as they were fleeing Venezuela and just like what their story was. And like usually the story was exactly the same. It was like I was at work and like my wife called me and said the cops are here, like do not come home, like just get out of here. And I have nothing and like I don't know what I'm going to do. And then every once in a while, like one in every like 20 or 50 or 100 people, somebody would say, I got my private keys.
Right.
And like it really was like a transformative thing and like a life-saving crypto had real value to them.
Absolutely.
And
I almost wonder if like we're like a little blind to it here in America because like we tend to think like nothing terribly catastrophic is going to happen overnight and we're going to have to like flee because you know we generally have like a million ways to pay and they're pretty good. But like maybe there is enough people who like worldwide have already glommed onto this and recognize it that like the values that brought a lot of us here, which are decentralization, censorship resistance, credible neutrality, maybe like those values are not going to be going away because so a few years ago, I got to go to ETH LATAM in Argentina, and I was just like similarly struck by like how much people got it. This is before Milei became president, so I don't know if things have changed, but like people understood why to use crypto, and ETH LATAM was a huge event because of that.
Yeah, I think like we do have it a little bit too good to like in the West, right? We look at crypto as this speculative thing and this next wave of the .com like cycle and like internet technology and all this stuff, but like remember what is inscribed on the first Bitcoin, right? Which is I'm like totally making this up
Chancellor
off the top
on
of my
brink of bailout.
yeah, like December 10th, 2008, Chancellor or whatever, banks on the
banks on One of the arguments I advanced in my talk yesterday was that it's very reductive, but I think one of the reasons that DeFi summer happened 4 or 5 years ago was literally just a function of T-bill rates. Like there was no yield at the time. And people were like, hey, they're giving any sort of yield. It didn't matter if it was 1% or a million%. Like people just like, it was like an oasis in the middle of the desert and like people are just thirsty. And now one of the reasons DeFi was like suffering amongst retail users is like yield is not like some magical thing anymore. It's the baseline expectation. Like if you're like, you're not giving yield, I'm leaving, right? Like, but there's a million places to go. And like, frankly, like T-bills are a lot safer than like squeezing out to get 8 to 11% on DeFi or 20%, or in some cases like higher. So I don't know, like that's a super reductive take on like why DeFi summer took off 4 years ago, because it was a completely different time. Like we forget how much things have changed. I don't know. What do you think about that take? Too reductive? Like,
no, I mean, I think that's definitely a huge factor. I think the other factor is like people are hurting right now, and
that's
like. I don't even really feel like it's that useful to like go like wax poetic on the situation, but like mortgage rates are super high. Like that is like it's like housing in general is just crazy, and like the eggs are again like the thing we're talking about, and just like the way I understand meme coins is that like and the
Lottery
rise
tickets.
of sports gambling and like all this stuff is like people are just fucking desperate,
They are.
And so I think
And
like 20% is not even interesting if you're just like that down.
Or if you don't have money to, like, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, like you're going to have to buy the meme coin because you got to get the lottery ticket to make it to the next level. And I think this is like a really constant history. Like you were mentioning 2010 Bitcoin, like banks on the brink of a second bailout. people were like upset. People were like angry. Oh, we got some good. Sam delivered.
Hey.
Corey, buddy.
We got
another-
So good to see you, man.
Another $1 billion.
We got Corey from Dolomite, and is that it? Oh, the rest of the Dolomite guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're all sitting on the couch. You guys can.
Woo. You're
So another protocol that everyone's been talking about, and I haven't gotten a chance to see you guys yet. How's it going? How's your ETH Denver been?
It's going well. It's been busy, which is good.
Yeah, and just piling on top of that, like every single year we come here, we feel like we get a little bit more recognition each year, and I say that with the utmost humility. It's just been really, really amazing to see, and
Yeah.
meeting so many new users and people and putting faces to names and addresses. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just great that you guys have achieved what you have, put so much time and effort into it, and you know, we spoke with you guys in the beginning when you just did launch on Arbitrum, and it's so amazing to see like the progress that's happened there, and then to finally be rewarded with Bear Chain, which has just been amazing, and to cross that $1 billion mark.
Thank you, guys. It was really eye opening because we were Arbitrum native for a super long time, where there was the only chain that we were on with any traction, and it was eye opening to see like how cutthroat the competition was. And then you go to another chain where like you can really breathe a little bit more, and it's a little bit more blue ocean, and it just exploded immediately. It was
So can I ask you about that? Because like that makes sense with all of us who like saw the history of Arbitrum, right? But like if you just like came into this world today and looked at, there seems to be a lot more competition on Barachain right now than there is on Arbitrum. So like why were you able to capture this moment so well?
a bit of like lucky timing and just perseverance. What we noticed was a lot of like new chain launches that get bricked usually get bricked because of a bad lending protocol going belly up in some regard. And being able to underwrite for credit, not just for like blue chip assets, which is easy, but of course some of the more specialty stuff that Dolomite is known for is not for the faint of heart. So we approached the Barachain team around like summer of 2024 with this idea of being able to expand to their chain. And I looked up more into like proof of liquidity and noticed like it's a glorified staking contract. What have we done well on Arbitrum? Staking with the GMX token, for example. We have a monopoly on that one token for that one use case. And so it was the next natural evolution for Dolomite. We gave them that pitch and it really stuck the landing well. And then when you look at other things that bootstrap the chain like Boyko, the Boyko process, despite the numbers looking really large and exciting, was not for the faint of heart when it came to the technicals required to bridge the funds over flawlessly. Like there is no room for error whatsoever. And there's a lot of coordination, a lot of things that could have gotten messed up in that process that people didn't have nothing bad happened, thankfully. You know, a lot of bad things could have happened.
Yeah, overall, it's sort of night and day difference with our launch on Arbitrum versus where we are now on Barachain. I mean, when we launched on Arbitrum, sure, we had the potential for a lot of the features that we have today, but it was still such early days. And to be able to, compete with something like Aave, sure, we were earlier on Arbitrum, but we weren't the first, the lending protocol for it. But we've had that time to be able to develop, and the best proof of any kind of security, proof is even a strong word, is just time. It's to be able to be running for a while, and that's something that we've been able to prove over time, to be able to show off the emphasis we put on security, on the way that we build things and run things. And I think that put us in the position to be able to do that kind of launch on Barachain. And it's been great to see. And not that we're going anywhere for Arbitrum. We want to keep building there, and it's still plenty left to do.
So one thing that I was on a panel yesterday at Stable Summit with Feig, and one of the points he was making is that like DeFi is not like actually quiet. It's like super interesting. You just need to know where to look. And he was pointing to Sonic. A lot of other people have been talking about Barachain. I feel really stupid because I didn't even realize Barachain wasn't a meme chain until like Wajhat was explaining this to me earlier. But it's like fascinating all the stuff that's been going on there. So I don't have a question. I just
I mean, the thing I've always said about like DeFi is, a lot of times in crypto, we're used to this hype, the things moving very quickly, and that's happened. There was DeFi summer and all of that, but a lot of times that hype outpaces the actual building. Sure, it's easy to spin up a meme coin really quickly, but DeFi takes time to build. It takes time to actually put it together, and hype could bring in developers, it could bring in builders, but to actually sit down and construct things will take some time. And that's why the hype can come in cycles. But DeFi is something that just keeps getting better. It keeps building up, and that's why I have faith in it in the long run. It's something that those DeFi Lego blocks keep stacking up, and builders are still building. Even in bear markets, they're building, and it means the next time around, it's stronger, it's better, it's bigger.
I just thought the Bear Chain guys were just going to throw like the best parties forever and never launch the chain, right?
Chain is real.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when like Jack Melnick, who like used to work at Polygon, transitioned over to Barachain. I was like, that's a real chain. I thought they were like kind of messing around because they knew it was an NFT project, and they really leaned into like the memes with that, which obviously helped with establishing that culture. And it was really interesting to see like the different personalities form around it. You have people like ourselves that are like super into DeFi and like all the tokenomics and all the interesting theory crafting that comes along with that and the game theory. And you have others that are just like, the chain has a bear on it. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. And like those personalities clash in such an interesting way when it comes to like all the interesting, things that can happen on chain. So it's been a really cool experience so far.
And it's one of those things where I feel like, as tech people, we'd love to believe that if we build something cool, that everyone will show up and use it, right? But it's not that easy. You need that culture. You need that sort of the memeability, the energy behind it, and that's what Barachain brings in. So we think the tech that they have is cool. I think proof of liquidity is going to be amazing, and we work to build cool tech. So I think that plus the energy of the community can actually produce something really, really interesting.
So earlier we had Aham from Silo Finance and Thomas from Reserve Protocol, and both of them, well, Aham has like captured Sonic, right? TVL on Sonic. And then we asked Thomas what he thought about going to different chains, and he announced Alpha that Reserve is going to Solana. So just to like keep this in theme, I would love to ask you guys, like, how does it feel to leave ETH, right? Like in the like greater ecosystem? And I don't know, does that like cross a boundary for you guys? Does it mean anything? Like, how do you see your protocol evolving forward from here?
I think it's just a matter of going where the opportunities are, where our tech can be most useful. It's, we don't have some kind of hard loyalties. It's about where can we provide value? Where can we really make good use of our tech? I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like we look at a lot of things when it comes to chain deployments. Overall, we really wanted to approach it almost like an investor or a VC, where like you heavily scrutinize the company you want to potentially invest in to understand like what is the long-term viability of it. And we approach chain deployments very similarly, where like we took calculated bets on some. Barachain was one of them, and like part of that, the litmus test for it is just what is the culture they're setting at the top, and like do we think it's sustainable? Do they think like they're going to do a good job curating value for it? Because like the relative success of Dolomite depends on the GDP of Barachain or the other chains that we're on, and because of that, it was really important for us to evaluate that long-term viability and how that marries the short-term hype cycle that might exist if a spotlight gets put onto it.
Is it inbounds for me to also ask about your advisorship with World Financial Liberty, or is that topic we should steer clear of?
This topic I have to stay clear of.
Okay, all right. We'll keep it on Dolomite.
I appreciate the effort.
Has there been any effect? Do you think that it's been beneficial for you to be an advisor there for Dolomite?
No, it's not okay to ask the question.
I don't know, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about like the like. You don't have to say anything about World Liberty. I'm just wondering like second order effects about like since you've taken on that role, has it opened any other doors for like Dolomite or for anything else?
I think like relatively speaking, Dolomite was one of the smaller protocols that had like some degree of representation, if you will, on that advisory board, because like you had people like Layer Zero and like Brian on there, which was already a household name, very large. And to those people that I think knew me and knew Dolomite really well, like, oh, this makes sense to have someone like Corey on there. And for a lot of people that didn't necessarily know me, all they saw was like, oh, a .eth is on there. Maybe it's actually Ethereum aligned or whatever. So I think like overall, like the funny thing is it's been like on my Twitter account, I'll like randomly get tagged on accounts I've never seen before saying like this person has a delineation between World Liberty and Dolomite. I just let it be, let people like say what they want to say or whatever, but it's just not me to go out there and necessarily go talking about it. It is what it is. I have a job to do when it comes to helping them out, and leave it at that.
I got one more question. It's like, no. Last one. How do you code switch between like talking with like crypto people who get the culture versus like going out and talking with like non-crypto finance people. Like you put on a suit, obviously. I hope you got a suit. Like
Sir, I work from the basement.
the power tie, the suit. Is it the blue suit, black suit?
Usually blue. I mean, it's a change of pace overall. I mean, like, whereas with like Dolomite, any startup, like you're wearing every hat possible to make sure that the business stays afloat. You have certain KPIs and things you're trying to hit, always trying to grow. And with this, it's like I'm very siloed to having a particular job there and doing certain things for them.
Yeah, because like the next wave, like even outside of the next wave is like banks and pensions and like all these institutions, like well established, and they're going to be coming to you guys in this next cycle. Like we're going to have all the regulations in place that allow them to come and deposit into Dolomite.
I mean, we're seeing right now with protocols like Curve, obviously, like BlackRock working with them and others. I'm sure like when Mitch started it, like he had the aspiration for what he would hopefully see it become. And similar to like how I feel like I'm dreaming when I see Dolomite hit $1 billion in TVL, I'm sure that Mitch feels similarly, seeing like major institutions like BlackRock, not just trusting it, but also working with it really closely and like getting into the weeds, if you will, on it. And like that kind of stuff is like, for any like true builder, that's all like dream come true level stuff. And we feel very similarly because we've been in the industry a long time. And
that was one of the points Thomas was making when he was here earlier, is that the institutions are here and they're looking to get involved and they're looking to deploy capital. Now I know it's always said the first billion's the toughest. So now that you passed the first billion, like is it just easy street to get to 10 billion, or do you guys have like a like?
But if we keep going to zero, then like no. But
like I'm just curious, like what's in the pipeline in terms of like, I just like need to like put on the suit and go talk to institutions to get to 10 billion? Or are you like just building some amazing new features to get there? Like what's the short-term roadmap?
It's funny.
For
A lot
y'all?
of people like ask like similar questions like this. You had 100 million. It's like, oh, how you getting to 200? And like there's certainly an element to that where like you think about like where the next wave of growth comes from. But also as a founder, I'm also very concerned with like, okay, how do we preserve the billion that we have? I don't want to necessarily see that go away. So there's a bit of relationship building going on where like I feel like if we keep those first depositors in that put that billion in and keep them happy, we're able to preserve what we have, and also makes the next wave of growth a little bit easier too. Because no one wants to feel like, because I guess taking a step back, the process to get these people on was, a lot of answering questions about like our risk management and shaking hands with people and familiarizing them with Dolomite. And the last thing that they want to see is like I made them feel special, and now I'm already talking to the next person, like tossing them aside like they're garbage. Like there is a bit of relationship building that needs to happen there to keep people happy and keep them onboarded. And if their experience is good, we follow the theory that there's also going to be a little bit of word of mouth that might happen, or other people that might be happy to help our growth. And that's actually been one of the underlying themes to our growth and our progress up until this point.
And overall, it's just a matter of we keep building. It's not. There's no finish line for us. There's another feature that we want to make. There's something that'll just bring more value to those people who are already on Dolomite, give them more reason to stay, and draw in more people. But
thanks so much.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have a few exciting ones. Just proof of liquidity on Berachain is going to be a fantastic integration for us. We got automatic E-mode coming. Hope up your leverage that you could actually loop up and take advantage of yields. And we got some smart debt features coming. And of course, just more integrations. That's really a lot of what we do, is just bring in new assets, try and tie together as much of the ecosystem as possible.
Yeah. I mean, so just earlier, Waj was showing off like some of the protocols on Berachain, and I was just really impressed. Like, I didn't realize, for example, Pi USD had launched there, except I think it's Buy USD because they have to have the Bear thing. USDC's got like a token there, and they're giving like 20% yield. And one of the questions I always ask is like, what's the source of that yield? Is it artificially high because like there's concerns about like Berachain, like maybe they haven't gone through audits or things like that, or is it just high because like no one knows, or is it just high because like there's like co-incentives? Like what's the?
I feel like it's going to be very much a case-by-case basis. It probably depends a lot by asset.
Of course, yeah.
Because anywhere in DeFi, you'll find some kind of yields that are driven by just rewards and incentives. You'll find some that are just by some ARB opportunity. In the case of Dolomite, for example, the rates right now on Bera are really the biggest ones for us. The lending rates and the supply rates are incredibly inflated
Mhm.
because there's a lot of opportunity right now to supply that Barra for even more. So people are willing to pay 45% APR to borrow Barra on Dolomite. And
Mhm.
it means people can earn 30% or sometimes more than that on their lent Barra.
Right.
So I think because it's such an early chain, these numbers nothing's really settled into like a mature market. We always point to Arbitrum when we say like, where are the rates going to be? Where do we think they'll end up? That's what it looks like with a more mature market of what you could earn on your ETH, on your USDC, on your WBTC. But Barra right now being such an early market, there's all these unique opportunities. And I think that's part of reaching maturity is you need to let the players come in and let the market balance everything out. And, as proof of liquidity comes out, as more players move into the space, things will even out. And the long term is really where I have our eyes set, and we'll just keep building strategies and integrations to help people take advantage of whatever the opportunities are.
What do you think is going to happen to Arbitrum? Like, we have Sonic now that just came out, nice and shiny. Bear Chain also nice and shiny as well too. Like, is Arbitrum just that well established? Well, Arbitrum has essentially become like Hyperliquid's bridge.
If I had a crystal ball to be able to see where things are going, then I'd be a billionaire already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real question, right? But all the reasons that we came to Arbitrum, that we like Arbitrum, nothing's changed on that front. It still has an incredible suite of dApps that have built upon it, great assets and integrations, and I think it's still held in this high regard. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, where time is the best test of anything. Arbitrum has that age to it that gives it a little more clout, that gives it a little more maturity. That
definitely,
people, it's always brought up in conversations of where you're launching. As much as there's excitement around Berachain, I talked to plenty of people who they haven't considered launching on Berachain yet, and it's not top of mind for them. So I don't think it's going anywhere. It'll be a matter of how governance handles things going into the long run. I know there's been a little bit of controversy about how they were allocating their treasury, but I think I'd like to believe that it'll all head in the right direction. They just have such a great community of dApps and developers that it's a fantastic resource, and I don't think it's going to evaporate overnight.
Yeah. I don't think that Arbitrum has the same issues that like OP Chain does, right? In the same, people will still continue to use Arbitrum. Like Optimism, I don't know. Optimism just becomes like the staging ground for base, right?
I mean, the chain, Optimism chain could like eventually like kind of peter out and die, and they like still are super successful because, like there's like 20 like legitimate chains that are built off, and like and they all like pay a little bit of fees and blah blah blah. Like I don't know, I'm not worried about Optimism.
You're optimistic.
But with Arbitrum is nice because like they've been able to retain like. I prefer to use Arbitrum. I think it's I me too. It's my like favorite L2. Like I think that like if I'm going to move money on chain from a centralized exchange, it's going to Arbitrum. There is no second best, right?
I'm with you there. I mean, we built on it. We've used it for years, and I'm one of Dolomite's biggest users. I mean, I don't know by wallet size, but certainly by like daily. It's just because we really like acting and using Arbitrum. Acting on Arbitrum is easy. There's all the resources you need. There's all the protocols you'd want to interact with. And
did you ever consider moving to Base?
Yes, it's certainly been in our discussions. It's all a matter of some protocols will some dApps will just try and deploy everywhere. They're trying just real shotgun approach, but ours, we try and be very purposeful in each move because a lot of our value is in the integration we could have and the liquidity we could draw. So just, dropping integrations here or dropping like deployments to different chains, it's not going to be of value unless we follow it up with a lot of integrations, ones that bring value, a lot of TVL. So we'd love to be on Base. It'll be a matter of doing that move in the right way, making sure that we have some cool integrations lined up, some opportunities, some strategies. But I'll say it'll happen. We'll get there. Yeah.
So one of the things we're excited about is we're releasing our squid drop probably later today, maybe earlier tomorrow. And once we drop all this squid to guests of the show, which yourself, you're earning squid just being here. So
awesome.
We're trying to figure out what can our cross-train strategy be. Should we like bridge our squid to Berachain and come up with something with you on Dolomite for it so you can get you the next $1 billion?
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. We could try cooking on that. It's
all right. We'll talk offline.
Yeah, I think we've been going for an hour and a half now. So
look at that.
thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much for having me. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good to see you in 3D.
Right?
And
People actually exist.
Yeah.
make sure to tune in tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Pacific time.
I'll catch you guys later.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Well, it was nice. I mean, we had Thomas, Dolmite guys with Corey and Aham come on. This is a,
Great crowd.
yeah, just randomly walked around and found him. I mean, like, I'm surprised I ran into Dolmite guys. I was like, who am I going to grab? I didn't know because, it's like needle in a haystack, but there has to be somebody, like we know enough people that are going to get a squid drop tonight, tomorrow, that we should run into at least a few people to come onto the show.
All right, squids. Until the next tide.
Oh, nice, nice. And use Protocol FX.
Yeah.
Squid fingers.